Good morning, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Camille. I am in my 20s, living in Las Vegas. I work in marketing, I freelance, I love hobbies, and on this account, I solely just talk about my lifestyle, habits I'm creating, and all the good things of just documenting my life. So welcome if you're new. I'm currently getting ready for work and I'm going to go over my 2025 goals with you guys and how I'm doing, and then also how I intend on finishing the year off strong, because as I'm filming this, we're in September. Before we know it, we're going to be in the holiday season, and it's one of those things that's so bittersweet in my eyes because I love summer. I really, really do. And now that it's like getting toward the end, it's like, oh gosh, like wow, we really just did that again. We did a whole another year, and I really wanted to like recap it, and then also like I already wanted to in my own time see what I need to still tick off and what I still want to accomplish. So let's sit down, let's chit chat. I did quite a few things to prep for 2025. So one of those things being a vision board. I did a vision board. I did my ins and outs list, which was like a trend back in 2024, I believe. I also did an overview goal sheet. And then I also have a word of the year. A word of the year is something that our church encourages us to do, that God speaks to us before the year starts, or even as the new year is starting, just something that drives us, and then we can find like a Bible verse with it, and it's just like that urge that the Spirit is speaking to us about to kind of guide us into our new year and what we want, or what God wants us to focus on, really. So I'm going to start off lighter. So with my vision board, I'm going to put it on the screen. I really went for aesthetics on this for sure. Like, it's very neutral, super simple, because I wanted to really focus on just like the vibe of the year, where I wanted 2025 to feel like simple and fun and light. And I feel like there were so many big milestones. Like 2024 was when Ethan and I bought our house, and that was fun and great and grand. And I feel like 2025 was more for like, okay, the routines that we're gonna have in the house, like keeping it, really stewarding it properly, like all those good things. So that's kind of where like the inspiration came from for this. So I definitely wanted to still prioritize baking in 2025, which I feel like I did very good at. I definitely tried a lot of new recipes this year, and I feel like what I really got good at was whenever I was baking, like thinking of somebody else. So like giving something to someone, or if I was seeing one of my best friends, giving them like a slice of banana bread because we went on a run together. Like just those little things that I feel like I naturally think of, and that totally came from my family. My nana used to like literally batch make cookies and freeze them, and so whenever we needed like a gift for a teacher or a family or a friend, it was already frozen and like ready to go. The girl in the dress is actually kind of funny because I wanted to get into wine this year, which is just like so interesting that that was my goal, but it was. And I think it was because alcohol and I are pretty sensitive. Like, we have our days, and whenever I was going to happy hour, I would have one cocktail, and I was like, well, if it's wine or sangria, it's more like, it feels better in my system, and I think it's like fun and like more mature, I guess. So I was like, yeah, wine is so in. I probably ordered wine like once this year. Honestly, like I didn't even order wine on our anniversary that we hit this last month. So I'm like, whatever. That was just funny. The shadow photo with all the girls, that was really coming from just, really wanting to focus on like a girl group and like having my girlfriends here in Vegas. I always like had friends from church and all that, and I feel like this year we really got much closer. So we traveled together to California in March, and then we did like a recent sleepover over Labor Day weekend, and overall just like so honored that those girls are in my circle. It's just amazing. Golf was on here, which I am just in love. I'm obsessed with golf right now. And I'm so glad I put that on here because I really feel like that was a huge mark on my summer. It was so fun to get into. It is an expensive hobby, but since we picked it up in the summer, Cameron and I picked it up in the summer, a lot of the rates for rounds of golf were cheaper because a lot of people were not golfing because of the weather. So paid like 30 to $70 around, and I feel like I've played consistently every 2 weeks, which is really a big accomplishment, honestly, because that's basically saying I golfed what, like 6-ish times already. So that just is so fun. I'm so glad I did that. Scrapbooking is on here and just like creating, and yeah, I really liked my vision board. I feel like it didn't necessarily drive me as much as my other things that I did. Also, going into one of the lighter things that I did to prep for 2025 was my ins and outs. So ins and outs was a trend that was maybe around 2024-ish, where people were just listing things or like products or trends that they want to leave in the old year, and then, you know, things to pick up in the new year. So it's super lighthearted, super silly. And here's like what I put. My ins were folding and putting away laundry once it's done and dry. So like not just folding it, because I love to fold laundry, but actually like taking it to our room and putting it away. Praying immediately as I wake up and right before I sleep. I do pray before I sleep, but not when I wake up. So that's something I need to refine and get a little bit better at. I do open the Bible app. That's my first app I open in the morning. So that is something that at least is getting me into the word and connected with God right away. Being outside was one of my ins, which I definitely accomplished. Being unserious and silly. I feel like, I don't really know in what regard I meant this as, but I do feel like I really have leaned into the joy of the Lord, and being that the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so that's like something I can touch on with my other thing. Happy hours at home. I did one happy hour at home, and granted, I think I only went out to happy hour like 2 other times, so it's not like I'm going to happy hour like once a week or anything, but it was very fun to host. And maybe that can be a fun like fall thing, winter thing coming up, because Vegas falls and winters are just so nice. One of my ins was wine. One of my ins was embracing every season for what it is. And what I meant by this was like literal, like spring, summer, fall, winter, embracing those seasons, because I love, love, love summer. I don't like the heat, but like I feel that winter feels like it lasts really long here in Vegas. At least last year, it lasted so long. It was April 2024 when I ran my half marathon, and it was literally 30 degrees, like so cold. So I think that's where it came from, just like enjoying the winters and the summers and everything. And I did go to snowboard and ski in January, which was really fun. And then on my outs list, not keeping communication with people I love. So I wanted to definitely FaceTime more this year, which I definitely think I did. I really think I kept up with a lot of close friends, and even friends that I wanted to be closer with, and I think I did pretty well with that. Instagram during work, yeah. Sometimes I would just like reach for it, like it was checking if someone texted me. It was crazy. So I definitely got better at that. Entertainment content that doesn't make me feel good. So definitely making sure that I am not watching things that affect me, because I'm super sensitive to content and like taking in whatever I watch. So making sure I'm not watching things that aren't, you know, fitting for what I believe and like what is appropriate in my eyes. I'm also just like not someone who watches thrillers or horror movies. I barely watch TV, period. And then saying yes to things I don't want to do. I'm definitely, yeah, I'm good at that. I'm very particular about my weeknights and making sure that I'm not overdoing it, because I have such a rigid morning routine. I love my morning routine, and if I'm obviously out or doing things on a weeknight, I affect that. So I'm very sensitive with that. Another thing on here is brands that romanticize something I can make myself, or sell something that no one needs at all. I'm very particular about what I spend my money on. I don't shop excessively every single month. I barely have bought a pair of shoes in the last like 3 months, and so I'm very particular, and I think that's where that came from, of just how many brands come out with the same freaking product nowadays. 2025 overview. One of them was saving. I wanted to be very mindful about what I spent my money on this year. I did the start of the year was interesting, and we did do a last minute trip in May to go to Seattle, which Don't regret at all. It was such an amazing trip, such a big milestone because our best friends got engaged. But other than that, like it was unplanned. Unplanned trips give me anxiety. So yeah, just being more mindful about that. Limiting wasting food in the house. I think we're doing pretty good at that. Produce is pretty hard for us because we are not the most like extravagant chefs on a weeknight, and so produce is something that we need to improve, I feel like. Being active, 15 minutes spent outside every day. I definitely was really good at that when it was cooler in Vegas, and I know I'm going to be better at that once it does get cooler again. So I tried my best though. Even in the summer, I was outside. Pickleball, golf, and Pilates. I didn't really play a lot of pickleball because I got into tennis in the spring. So I will be back to tennis in the fall. Pilates, I feel like I haven't really done a lot of classes because we got into golf, and golf is just for Saturday mornings for sure. Maybe I'll be back at that. I don't miss it though because I tried a new workout class and it really definitely gets my heart rate up, and they do core in the class. 80 ounces of water daily. I feel like I try my best to do this, and I definitely aim for it, and it definitely makes a difference in how I feel. Maintaining was one of the words on here. So just like plan out what I'm going to organize or declutter around the house every month, plan quarterly deep cleans to maintain our home, and those I feel like I've naturally done. We deep clean pretty much like every other week, and then on a weekly basis, whatever just definitely needs like an extra attention. Quarterly cleanings happened probably 2 quarters in a row, and then I feel like sporadically it's like some things don't need to be that clean as much as I thought. Anyway, so like we adjusted that. I do have a list of things I want to declutter because we have so many guests coming this fall that I would hate for them to see some of the closets in this house. It's just terrible. Creating. I wanted to pick up clay making, you know, like just at home with like a thing of clay and like baking it in the oven. Haven't done that, but I feel like since I picked up sewing, I don't have a desire to pick up clay making. Making bread, have not made bread. Bread is one of those things where it takes hours. I'm not gonna get into sourdough personally. I don't think I have enough patience for that to feed it and blah, blah, blah. So I do think I just wanna make white bread. So I do think I can probably do that before the end of the year. Journal with memories and photos. I did start journaling. I did scrapbook my college years, but I did not do like memories and like all that stuff. I am collecting a bunch of junk though. So that may need to start soon, or at least be in a nicer box or something. Challenges. I wanted to read literally 2 books. I read one, you guys, groundbreaking. I read 1 book so far this year, and then I'm going to read another. A goal of mine for September is to go to the library once. I just want to see like what variety of books they have if there's religious books, because I feel like whenever I do read, I want to learn something. So I want to either read something about God or something about my career. Other than that, I'm not going to pick up a fiction. Maybe I'll read a biography or autobiography, but other than that, I'm not going to read fiction. Giving was one of my sections. I wanted to raise $1,000 for the Alzheimer's Association, which I did, which was such a fun experience, and I definitely learned a lot from that. And then any leftover money from freelancing after savings and taxes will be given to someone in some way or an organization I believe in. So my giving in my budget was definitely something I paid a lot of mind to this year. I wanted to make sure that whoever's birthday it was or just some milestone, I left some money on the side so that I could treat them to something. I could make something for them. I could bake and like buy ingredients with that money, whatever it may be. I was very, very mindful about that, and I'm super proud of that. Freelancing, I wanted to sign on clients that would stick for me for more than 3 months. I had a season of my freelance business that a lot of clients dropped me very soon. So this year I did consistently have 3 clients, and yeah, they lasted me more than 3 months. So I'm very proud of that as well. And I feel super blessed with the variety of clients I've gotten to have this year. I wanted to continue to have more networking chats for my freelance business, which did not happen. I think it just worked out for the better though, because I was so consistent with those 3 clients. I felt like I didn't want to overload myself, and I was glad I skipped that because I didn't want to overdo it. Lastly was my word of the year is foundation for 2025. I definitely feel like this word was, at first I felt like it was a cop-out, and I felt like a little upset at myself that I chose such a simple word because I didn't really know what it meant. And I feel like maybe I decided on it too quick. Like I kind of had a little bit of regret. But then throughout the year, I was like, oh, God is definitely teaching me about foundation, because I thought I was going to write my foundation. I had on here that I wanted to write out my personal values, like who I trust, like what people in my life am I going to for what purpose. And I feel like throughout the month so far, God has taught me like very simple concepts to point to foundation in Christ. So initially I thought I was going to do all the writing. I thought I was going to do all the auditing. I thought I was going to do like the pruning and realizing like where my energy and my effort should go toward. And God definitely just like told me everything. So here's the results thus far. And I'm just feeling very honored that this was something I was able to learn this year, because I wanted it to be such a big milestone, because I just turned 25 this summer. And obviously 25 is such a milestone number in my eyes, because you're in your mid-20s officially. So results. In the spring, God really taught me rest. So when I felt like my clients were dropping me from freelance, I was feeling very abandoned from God. Like, why would you take that away from me? I worked so hard. I felt called to freelance. Like, why is this happening? And then I kind of felt burnt out in the springtime. And I was like, oh, if I'm burnt out with like very little work, then God's like really teaching me to manage my time better and to rest. And so once I got that in order, clients came through the door. So I really felt like that was what God was teaching me in the spring. I went to a conference in May, and something God spoke to me was grace, embrace, and surrender. So this like 3-step process is something I can practice on myself, because I'm very hard on myself. So giving myself grace, embracing the truth of what God's word says and what God says over my life, and then surrendering what that insecurity may be or what that frustration might be. And that was something I utilized throughout the year through different trials, and I loved that. I loved that that is something now I remember. It's ingrained in my brain. Community and friendship. My girl group was so important this year, and it was just such an honor to get close with them, and be in a small group again was really fun as well, because I did join a small group in the spring and I am joining one here in fall. Humility. No one needs to applaud me. Jesus turning water into wine. So when small group first started, we read the story about Jesus turning water into wine. When he did that, he didn't bring any attention to himself. He quite literally did the opposite. He pretended like it didn't happen and then made other people realize it themselves. I am someone who words of affirmation is like definitely one of my love languages. It's a very big part of how I know people are proud of me and how I know people value my work. And I definitely realized like I don't need that. I don't need like someone to always tell me thank you or good job or wow, that was really whatever. I need to remember that that's not where my value comes from. And if I'm serving somebody, I don't need that words of affirmation back toward me. Self-control, definitely just taming my tongue, being more aware of how I'm speaking about others, speaking about situations, even just the way I'm carrying myself, nonverbal communication cues, and just being more aware of that. And I feel like self-control is one of those things that you tell children to focus on, you know, like don't touch other people, don't like whatever, be rude and like disrespectful to other people. But I feel like as an adult, self-control is really coming from our mouths and the way that we talk about other people. Joy of the Lord is my strength. So really remembering that Jesus paid it all. We already won the fight, and that as much as like things might frustrate me or worry me or make me upset, the joy of the Lord is still my strength. And the truth is that will always be the truth is that Jesus paid it all for us and that we are made clean and whole because of his sacrifice. So remembering that that is always true. So yeah, maybe I'm upset about something, but I can still be joyful. And then lastly, trusting God's plan, because I'm in a season of waiting right now and remembering that he has a good plan for my life. So I need to relax and I need to give him the wheel and like genuinely control only what I can control here on earth, which is my work ethic, how hard I work to get to a goal. And other than that, Jesus will do the rest. With that, I have a couple things to work on for the rest of the year, but I'm feeling very good for how my year has gone. I am a very realistic goal setter, so I'm going to do a separate video on how I realistically goal set and how I set myself up for success, because it's very easy to sit down to make goals and they're so aspirational and you're not going to get them done. So that will be something in the future, but thanks for hearing me yap. I definitely need to get to work. I will chat with you guys later. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow me on other social media platforms. I will see you guys in the next video.